Hopefully it's working now. I've lowered the bitrate, but I don't know if it's any better, or if we're back, or if we're even on the same thing. Because I was not prepared to have any sort of issues go ahead, so I didn't really know what to do. Well, let me see. I'll try to get a new link up on Twitter, I suppose, wherever it is that people watch things. Excellent. Well, hopefully it stays working this time around. And let me get a new link. Stream died. New link. Okie dokie. Right, cool. I hope it doesn't die this time. Or it doesn't get really, really laggy. Because that kind of sucks. But hey, we'll see. Thank you. I lowered the bitrate. I kind of knew that's what I had to do, but I don't know if it's just because I'm streaming to YouTube, but like Streamlabs wouldn't let me alter the bitrate while I was streaming. And then when I closed the stream, it wouldn't let me go back to the previous stream I had. You know, it was a whole ordeal. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty stressful 5 minutes. But hey, let's go play some Crash Bandicoot, why don't we? One of my favorite things about Crash Bandicoot 2, and probably one of the reasons why it might be my favorite one, is I love the warp room design in this game. I like the warp rooms in Crash 3, but I just love the circular warp room here. Such a classic, such an icon. But anyway, we're just going to play the levels in order. I have some personal favorites, but I think we'll just go level by level. So thanks for everybody for stopping by. This is Sad Crash. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Heaps knows his streams. He knows what the sus is. So as I mentioned before, this is going to be a casual playthrough. So if you see me skip any boxes, if you see me avoid the hard pathways, don't worry too much about it. We're just trying to have fun. We're just trying to have a nice Tuesday crash day. Nah, don't worry. We ain't doing anything productive today. To be honest, I'm partially doing this so I don't have to work on the next video, which is ugh. Can't look at that game anymore. Ooh, secret pathway. This isn't a competition between me and Heaps, by the way. I've watched his Crash Bandicoot streams. You know, he's beating them. Frankly, as long as you can beat Crash Bandicoot, that's fine by me. Whee! So don't expect any high-level play, but you know, I know a few of the tricks. I can slide jump a fair bit. That's about all you need to know. Whee! Oh dear. Well, that was a shambles. Sorry, we'll make up for it. You know, my cat was in here like moments before I started streaming, and I was gonna put the camera on the cat, have a cat cam. Then she like left the room as soon as I started streaming. Clearly, she's not a fan of Crash Bandicoot, which is a shame. Oh my god, a super chat. Check this out. I added a super chat thing just on the off chance. It's from a very cute PlayStation game about cats. I went to great efforts to find that, but thank you so much, Dave. Very kind of you. You're supposed to be in a music video, CTD? I mean, playing Kirby's pretty good, but a music video, that sounds pretty exciting. That is true. You do want to set the expectations as low as physically possible. Just be humble, you know? Just tell everybody you're bad, and the best thing that can happen is you can surprise them. Whee! I do feel a bit more confident in my skills in Crash 2 as opposed to Crash 1, though. I mean, it helps that Crash 2 is significantly easier than Crash 1, but, you know. Oh, gotta get the box. You know, it doesn't matter because I skipped... I could have got the gem in this level, but I skipped a couple of boxes back at those giant birds. Bit of a shame, really. But it's okay. It's okay. If I had got one gem, I would have felt compelled to get more. Whee! Oh, you know what? There was a time before I did the whole Seanson thing where I did a bit of streaming on Twitch. You know, I think everybody at some point in their life is like, I'm going to try Twitch streaming. Turns out streaming PS1 games over on Twitch, maybe not the best place to do it. Yeah, see, there's the tree box I missed. And I played through Croc on stream on Twitch, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I really love Croc. Croc is one of my favorite games. But I mean that I'm like, every fucking stream I start talking about Croc. I can't get enough of it. Croc is one of my favorite games. But I also don't think it's a very good game, if that makes sense. I love it, even though I don't think it's super great. Oh my god, thank you so much for the chats. Paul Winter with a super chat. What a legend. We got Brian B with a super chat. Another legend. Even if you don't super chat, you're a legend, by the way. It's not like a mandatory thing. Oh god. Oh, I mean, Croc 2 is a much better performing game than Croc 1 because it has analog controls, but it's so much harder. People are like naming like good games here. People are naming Symphony of the Night, Suikoden, Ape Escape 1. I mean, like, that's not to say that you can't be successful on Twitch, you know, playing old games. I just think, like, Twitch is very much personality driven. And, you know, I'm not going to say that I don't have a personality or whichever, but, like, you know, most of the time when I play games, I'm, like, super focused. And I'm, like, I just have this face on me, like, which I don't think is great for Twitch. I had my time on Twitch, but I'll be honest, streaming, and I've said this before, streaming I think is very difficult. It's really hard to, like, get the energy to be motivated to come in from, like, your day job or whatever and be like, do you know what, I'm going to sit down for 3 hours and just talk into the void. It is nice if there's other people there, but even then, it's a whole other kettle of fish. So that's why I don't do it too much on this channel as well. Mostly because I get a bit nervous about streaming. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's just like, I've heard people who stream all the time say it. They're like, oh, I get nervous before every single stream. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's a bit weird. Whatever. I can get the extra life at least. Whee! All right, let's read some messages because there's a lot of them. Croc is extra janky nowadays. You are correct. But I embrace tank controls. I love tank controls. I played so many games, so many platformers with tank controls recently that I feel like I've, you know, if I play a game with like good controls, I'm like, this is too good. Take it back. Whee! I think really to unlock Crash's potential, once they added the slide into the game, everything about Crash felt so much better. I love the slide. Slide's my favorite move in all of Crash. Unfortunately, no. Streaming Croc 2 doesn't pay the bills. As much as I would love it to. Unless there's someone who's on Twitch who's like really, really good at streaming Croc. In which case, then I hope it does pay their bills. Someone needs to be paid for playing Croc all day. Love your name, by the way, Klonoa. I'm glad that you got a Rising Zan. More people need to own Rising Zan. That's like a... That's a really cool game. I kind of got the feeling that it'd be really cool because a game called Rising Zan, the Samurai Gunman, sounds like it's going to be really cool. But the fact that it was really cool... Now that's really cool. Oh. Surf music. This is one of my... all-time favorite crash tracks. I don't know what it is. Over the years, I've gotten really like into surf music. You know, like the Beach Boys and stuff. I unironically really enjoy surf music. And I could probably blame this game for it. Alright, let's show off the skills. This is still early days. This is still easy Crash 2. Womp. Womp. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, the OG Crash save system. Yeah, it's a bit... I love when games, like, make it an effort to save. Like, you've earned the ability to save. It's such a funny thing. Although, like, I'll always remember Crash for having the super password. The best password ever. Tap triangle twice, get the super password. I prefer just using that. There we go. Yeah, I gotta watch Above Up. The thing I do, right, is I don't really... Whenever I cover a game, I never really watch many videos about it, because I don't want to, like, see other people's opinions to kind of cloud my judgment of a game. But I should really go and watch what other people think about the games that I play. So I might go watch that Above Up video. And yes, just to clarify, Crash 4 is very hard. I think it's very good, but it's very hard. Oh, you know what? I said I'm not going to get every box, but I must... I must at least get this one. It's on a ramp. There we go. Yeah, I think Crash 4 is cool. It's very tough, though. Heaps, my man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Honestly, guys, I would pay my own money just to get the cats to to kiss on the thing again. I don't know why. I was like, I need to find a cool PS1 like picture for that, and I came across the GIF for that game, and I was like, yes, I found it. Let's have a look. Zan was one console too soon, you're right. How are you, Insomnia? Thanks so much for joining me. I'm gonna have a read through some of these messages. Because I'm one thing I'm really bad at is keeping up with the chats. And I really appreciate people coming in and chatting in the chats. So I should probably read those. Mega Man Legends does tank control as well, I think. I still never played Mega Man Legends. I know you've been hyping up for a while, Brian. And I will get to Mega Man Legends eventually. Whether the wheel picks her or I have to manually insert it there myself, but I will get around to it because I love Mega Man and I don't know why I've never played Legends. Let's see. The Sims Vacation on holiday got me into surf music. Hell yeah. Have I ever watched the video where all the Crash Bandicoot, the entire franchise minus the racing games levels, are being ranked? Is that what's that dude's name? Squared Eye Jack? I don't know if I've watched that one. I've watched one of his other videos. I think I watched one about all the Tony Hawk ones, all the Tony Hawk levels being ranked. I love that style of video. I can appreciate someone going all out and doing a video like that. I think the longest Crash video I watched was Kadikarus's one where he did he platinumed every single one of the Crash games. Now that seemed like an arduous task. I like to think of myself as like a completionist, but if a game is too much hassle for me to complete, like if it's unenjoyable, I'm like, nah, whatever. And I love playing through all the Crash games, but some of the platinum relics in Crash games, not for me. I think this is the easy pathway. Yeah, we'll go. I don't mind if it's the easy pathway. Whee. Hello, Geno. Geno746. Geno. I don't know. We never had that character. We never got Super Mario 64. Not Super Mario 64. What am I saying? Super Mario RPG. RPG. By the way, in case anybody's ever wondering, I've had a few comments being like, why do you say your or is weird or your R is weird? In Dublin, the letter or R, we pronounce it or for some reason, like or instead of aor. So just in case you're wondering, I'm not being dumb. That's just how we say it in Dublin. And anytime I mispronounce a word, I'd rather upset other people on the internet than Irish people, because Irish people never let something go if you say something weird. So if I ever mispronounce a word, I'm doing it just to appease the few Irish people who watch my shows, because they'll hunt me down and they'll never let me forget it. I mean it. So people from Dublin don't say R, we say or PG. This is a true fact. Dave, thank you again for another super chat. What a man. All right, chat's buzzing tonight. It's very nice. Let's have a little look. Oh, God. 100 levels. 100% the game because I have to go through levels backwards. Yeah, I remember that level. I think, you know, I actually did think I tried to 100% this when the Insane Trilogy came out, because I was like, oh, there's trophies now. Should probably try to get those. And then I think I gave up after like just doing Crash 1. I was like, that was such an awful process. I don't want to play this anymore. I'm all about just having fun and enjoying the games that I play nowadays. You know, I barely get enough time as it is to play games for, like, you know, fun. So I just try not to worry too much about 100%ing things and collectibles and stuff. It's the way it is. How am I liking England so far? It's really cool, to be honest with you. England's kind of nice. Everybody here is really lovely. I spend a lot of my time kind of going in and out and traveling to London, which is pretty for my work, which takes a while. But it's quite nice. I'm still kind of getting used to it. It's a little bit like none of my friends or family are over here, so it's a little bit, I suppose you could say, lonely at times. But I'm so busy working on the channel that I don't really mind. And more importantly, I have a house that kind of allows me to work on my videos a bit better. So that's really been a huge boon for things. So, for example, I can stream and I'm not in my kitchen and I'm not bothering my fiance anymore. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying England so far. I've nearly been here for 6 months now, which sounds insane when I think about it. But it's been quite good. The English have been quite good to me. They get quite amused whenever they talk to an Irish person. Like, oh, Irish people. That's cute. And frankly, I like the attention, so it's okay. Alrighty. I'll look at the chat when the ball's not chasing after me. I remember on this. Let's have a little look. You know what? I'm glad that people like the accent. Here's the thing. I never knew my accent was weird until I went into YouTube. Oh shit. Yeah, I never knew my accent was weird until I went into YouTube, and people are like, "Oh, you say shit weird." I'm like, "Do I? Do I say shit weird? That's strange." But I'm never like embarrassed by it, or I'm never like worried about it. If someone like makes a comment about it, I just embrace it. Why not, you know? Wow. Is that the first wow? Can't even do it. Wow. Is that the first whoa of the video? One day I swear I'm gonna play through Mario RPG. I've been meaning to do it for years. The problem is like most people, sitting down to play one of those. Whoa! All right, I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm gonna get it. All right, let's have a little look at the chat. Cortex power backwards is cursed. It absolutely is, Shards of Glass, man. What is my favorite Crash game? Probably it changes all the time. It is either 2, Warped, or Crash Team Racing. But then, I mean, like, Crash Team Racing and... There we go. Crash Team Racing and the platformers are very different. I think Crash Team Racing is the best kart racer on the PlayStation. I don't think that's a very weird take. I think it's a pretty safe take, actually. All right, I'm not gonna do this. Yes, I'm not gonna make you watch me bounce on each of the boxes. I just want the Wumpa-Fru. I'm a little whore for Wumpa-Fru. It was such a weird thing finding out Super Mario RPG was a real thing. So many games we just didn't get in Europe, and over the years you look up and you're like, that's a game? They made that? We really got shafted for years. Like, I think Final Fantasy VII might have been one of the first Final Fantasies we ever got. Oh, shit, death. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII might have been one of the first Final Fantasies you ever got. So when I remember seeing that, I was like, what the fuck? There's been 7 of these games? Crazy. Bum, 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 bum. All right. Let's do it now. No more deaths. Ah, whatever. I don't need the boxes. I don't need the boxes. I'll just beat the level. It's fine. All right, guys. First boss time. Wow. Orla Brett with the £2. Orla Brett with the £2 super chat. That's my lovely fiance, by the way. I think she only gave the money so she could see the cats. I think. Maybe that's why I was buffering earlier. She's probably watching downstairs.
Although they cannot harm you inside this room.
All right, we're out of coffee. We're moving on to Pepsi now.
To get to the next warp room, use the platform.
You know, I own a box copy of Terra Enigma. It's like one of my prized possessions. Like a mint condition Terra Enigma. So maybe I don't have some good... Maybe we didn't get some good games here. But I do own a Terra Enigma. I own a Terra Enigma and a Panzer Dragoon Saga. Whee! Although, do you know what, right? The problem with, you know, like the Gaia trilogy, Soul Blazer, Illusions of Gaia, and Terra Enigma, right? We got Terra Enigma, and it's very expensive to buy. But Soul Blazer, a copy of Soul Blazer, like a PAL copy, it only ever came out in Nordic regions, like Sweden and stuff. So Soul Blazer cost like $1,000 over here. So actually completing a PAL... Whoops. So actually completing a PAL collection of Soul Blazer, Illusions of Gaia, and Terra Enigma will set you back with huge amounts of money. It's tragic, really. They are cool cats. That's why I put them there. It's emotional manipulation. I gotta give people a reason for the super chat. I much prefer this Ripperoo battle to the first one. Not just because it's easier, but like I love Ripperoo's hair here. His long hair. There we go. All the Gaia games are really good. I would say Terra Enigma is the best, and that's not being biased that I own it. It's a really cool game. But all of them are good. Whoops. Whoops. Let's see. Alright. Hi, Dylan. Thanks so much for dropping by, my friend. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I felt like I had to focus on that boss fight a little bit. Did Dragon Warrior ever make it to PAL? No. In fact, the first ever Dragon Quest game we got in general, I think, was Dragon Quest VIII on the PS2. I think that's legitimately the first Dragon Quest game that came out in the PAL region. We've been fucking... we just didn't get shit for a long time. The NES in general was kind of a rare sight to see in the PAL region. Most people I knew had Master Systems.
I see that Ripperoo failed to prove much of a challenge yet again. But back to
Do you include Grand Stream Saga into Quintet games?
20.
I do. I don't know if I include it in the trilogy, but I do include it.
And this will create a power great enough to rip the earth apart. Properly utilized, however, the crystals can absorb and contain the energy.
Ash, is that you? I've been looking everywhere. I don't
But seriously, thank you for all the super chats so far. It's really, really kind of you all.
trusting Cortex seems a little
Is that another super chat? Is that another fucking super chat? Crazy stuff. Is that Jace? Is it gonna pronounce it Jace? Jas? Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Have I seen a German Shepherd and a young Dalmatian walking running together in London? Not yet. I have seen at least one Corgi, which is pretty exciting. Oh, fucking Zool. There's so many Eurojank platformers. Just playing James Pond forever. James Pond and Zool. We got James Pond, Zool, and Micro Machines. That's all we ever had. Well, that was terrible. I like slid into a hole there. Actually, you know what? Now that I've listened to this, I think this might be one of my favorite tracks from Crash 2. I'm gonna be reminded of a lot of good tracks from Crash 2, but I think this is like legitimately a banger. Yeah, really good soundtrack. You know what, Matt? I'm gonna get to the end of the game. I am gonna get to the end. Is that a hedgehog? I'm gonna get to the end of the game. I forgot about these hedgehogs. All right, don't slide the hedgehog. We are gonna make it to the very end. What a death. You know what, like Keen, just computer games in general. Because I know like a lot of people in the UK are very fond of like computers. And this is in Europe in general. Like whether you're in America and you had like your DOS stuff, or whether you're in like Europe and you had your Spectrums and your Amigas. Wow, that's really bad. I gotta stop doing that. I just did not have a computer until like Windows XP era, which is pretty rough. And then when I got a computer for the first time, I bought like this pack of 12 Sega games that had like Sonic Racing and all this other stuff. And I like completely broke the computer trying to install them. I was so excited about getting to play all these games. I had like House of the Dead and stuff. I was like, yeah. I just completely broke the computer. So I, for many years, just did not have any sort of introduction to computer games at all. So that's been one of the things that I've enjoyed learning about, thanks to YouTube, is just all the shit that's on computers. Weird old computer games are the best. Oh, oh. But you know, Keen's actually one that I have played, because I think most people kind of get a bit interested in whatever, you know, id Software made. And Commander Keen's pretty fun. Even nowadays. You can see why people dig it. Yeah, a lot of European games are really fucking terrible, though. There's just a lot of design stuff that I don't subscribe to, I guess you could say. Not for me. Ah, whatever. I had an Aku Aku mask. We're okay. Ninja Breadman was supposed to be a 3D Zool game. What? That is some cool facts. I always wanted to own Ninja Breadman, like just for the irony of it. Because first off, Ninja Breadman's a really funny name for a game, and a really funny concept, even though it's, I think, a reskin of like, I don't know what company made Ninja Breadman, but I think they made the same platformer about 4 or 5 times and just put a new character in it each time. But the problem is that Ninja Breadman was never cheap. I was like, if I ever came across it for like €5 or less, I would buy it. But it was always like 20 quid. And I just couldn't justify spending the money on Ninja Breadman. Oh, and someone shout out the J-Cart. I love the J-Cart. J-Cart's one of the coolest. Oh, wait, hold on. See, I'm not an asshole. There's a purpose. Trust me, I feel really bad about that. But it was for the greater good. Don't hate me. Yeah, I'll like a lot of the stuff, a lot of the reason why I do this. It's what you said there, Carl. It's a lot of it's like nostalgia. Like this will always be like a very nostalgic game to me. I'm always happy to play through this game because I know it so well, and it's very you know, reminds me of the good times, childhood. But a lot of the stuff that I like discovering is just, you know, I would have seen like loads of games on the shelf when I was a kid, would have read about them in the magazines and stuff, and I'm always just a bit curious about, well, what's this like, or is it any good, or, you know, how cool is this, etc, etc. And it doesn't matter what the game is like, it doesn't matter if it's a good game or a bad game. I'm just curious about it, interested to see what it's all about. So, you know, it's always an adventure, and that's why I'm always happy to play everything. I don't really have any like preferences on genres or whatever. Everything's cool. It's a service. It's for the group. There we go. Okay, ignore that. Oh no, I'm gonna die. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah, it's for the greater good. Just want to show the games to more people. Let them know what's happening. Oh. That was pretty bad. Yes, Anubis 2, Trixie in Toyland, and Rock and Roll Adventures. I knew I'd seen this somewhere before. I knew they were like, someone was making the same game with different characters. Yeah, I was originally going to get Ninja Breadman on the Wii. But I think nowadays, if I ever am going to get Ninja Breadman, it's going to have to be for the PS2. You know, I've never in my life played, or had an Amiga, or thought about getting an Amiga, but the more I've been watching, like, I've been watching people get that new one, the Amiga Mini. And I think they watched, like, a Kim Justice video about Amiga games, and Amiga games look so fucking cool. I'm, like, really into Amiga games. Like, I feel like stuff like the ZX Spectrum and stuff, I feel like since I never grew up with it, I feel like I'm kind of beyond enjoying maybe what is possible on that console. I feel like to enjoy that stuff, you kind of have to be there. But the Amiga looks pretty sick. And the music on Amiga games, holy shit. Really cool. Oh, beautiful. 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 Where can we suggest video games? Well, question mark. What I always say is pop them in the comments. Whoa! Pop them in the comments and I will find them. I guess if there is a place where you are meant to suggest video games, it's the channel update #1 video, but that's been so long ago. I don't expect people to kind of float around and look for where to put them. So look, if you put it in the comments, I read all the comments that I get. I will see it, I'll put it on my list, and I'll let you know that it's been put on the list. So don't you worry. Although the only place I would suggest not to suggest it is in the comments for this live chat. Oh my god. Because that will probably get deleted at some point and I might miss it. And I would hate to miss somebody suggesting a game. Because I don't want people to think I'm gonna, oh god, it's happened again. Oh god. If you're wondering why I keep doing that belly flop, it's because I keep thinking I can slide in the air for some reason, even though that was never a thing that Crash could do. So please ignore this. It's just a momentary lapse in my gaming ability. Alright, so the mini PC engine looks really cool. I don't know if I was like, I want to say turned off by the whole Japanese games being included in it, because oh my god. Alright, I think things are taking a downturn now. It's the timing on this, right? I feel like you're meant to make like a straight run. And I'm just missing the timing on all this stuff. Let's just forget about this. There we go. There we go. Alright, we're back. We're back. We're not going to make any mistakes now. Famous last words. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. There we go. Not so bad. All right. Oh, we can look at the chat again. We've made it. Awesome. Let's have a little look. Smarty's Meltdown is the greatest platformer on PS2. I seen that in CEX a couple of days ago, and I was considering buying it, and I didn't. And I know you're probably not being serious, but I I would like that. You know, Dylan, one of the things that I quite like about the PS1 games is that they're quite short. Because if I'm going to play through a game for the series, I would like to finish the game if at all possible. But at the same time, because I want to get videos out on a semi-regular basis, sometimes I can't finish the longer games. I mean, I could, but it would take much, much longer to do the videos if that was the case. So it's kind of nice how short PS1 games are. If you're someone who's like low on time, you could play a PS1 game in an afternoon and beat it, which is kind of cool. I never really noticed it when I was younger, maybe because I was really bad at games or something. But nowadays, it's kind of a boon in a way. Because I kept feeling really bad about not finishing games. Although I've gotten much better at that over the years. I tend to actually finish what I play now. I force myself to finish games. Not that I don't have fun, but like my attention span is awful. Awful. I always want to move on to something new. But if, for example, if the wheel ever lands on a JRPG or a longer game, I will play a lot of it. Just because it's unfair to kind of judge a game without having played an appropriate amount of it, especially with an RPG. But let's just say I'm not mad if I get a short game. There you go, that's a pretty clean run. That's a good run of Barret. Although this is the easier one. Ah, one box. Wah. What are my favorite books? I tend to read a lot of, I don't actually, you know, I don't really have as much time as I'd like to read nowadays. But when it comes to books, I quite like fantasy. Like a lot of the Patrick Rothfuss stuff. Name in the Wind, that kind of thing. I recently read through some Philip K. Dick. Some old school sci-fi, pretty good. But I'm not a huge reader. I read a bit of manga every now and then. I'm currently reading through Chainsaw Man. I finally managed to get a copy of the first volume because it's been out of stock in English for fucking, like, a year. And that's pretty cool. I'm really excited for the anime adaptation of Chainsaw Man. It's going to be pretty sick. My fiance is more of the reader of the house. She loves a good book. So she reads while I play video games. That's kind of the dynamic we got. Good system. Alright. You can see me getting into like minor focus mode now. Yeah, I'm gonna focus real hard right now. Dies immediately. Because we're getting to the part where the game's going to start demanding more from me. And, you know, I'd like to put on a good show for you guys. I'd like to give you a good display. At least, you know, marginally mediocre display. Dragon Quest VII is not on the wheel. But I have played Dragon Quest VII on the... Did what come out on 3DS? Yeah, I played Dragon Quest VII on the 3DS. Holy fuck, is that a long video game? It's a very good video game, but holy fuck, is that a long video game? Is that the longest JRPG? It might be. Has anybody else played Dragon Quest VII? It is insanely long. Alright, let's have a quick look. Hey, Power, thank you so much for joining, my friend. It's good to see you. I'm trying to get through all of these messages. I'm gonna do my best. Let's have a look. Are we talking about Wipeout 3? I love Wipeout 3. Did you know there's like a PAL-only version of Wipeout 3 called Wipeout 3 Special Edition? Has more music in it. It's pretty cool. I think someone once suggested to me, like, oh, would you ever look at a video comparing PAL games to North American ones? Specifically PAL games that are actually run better in the PAL format than in North American one. And I was trying to think to myself, there's not really like a list that explains what kind of games do that. I know like certain versions of Wipeout are better, and I know we looked at Gakido, which was an example that might have been. It's an interesting topic. I just don't know specifically which games are like that. It's just one of those things that people don't document on the internet. There's often times where I have questions. I'm like, oh, I wonder if someone has bothered to note all this down. Often the question is no. Or sorry, the answer is no. And then you might ask, why don't I do it? And I'm like, oh, I got enough going on. I gotta get these videos out, man. Did the 3DS eShop close? I believe it either closed yesterday or today. Either way, it's closing. And it's gonna be gone, and it really sucks. Oh, the eel deal. Sewer levels. Yeah, I can't believe the 3DS shop is just gone. It really sucks. Oh, the Straga's on the wheel. I love the Straga, by the way. I'm gonna tell you now, big the Straga fan. I was at a friend's house when I was a kid, and we were playing Future Cop LAPD, and he whips out this demo, and he's like, yo, you gotta check out this demo, this cool game on it. And he put on the Straga, and I was like, this fucking rules. And yeah, I never owned the Straga, but then I rented the Straga once, and I remember really enjoying it. So it's one of those games that I remember really liking as a kid, but I tend to kind of save them, you know? Like, oh, I'll check out a game that I really remember liking when it shows up on the list again. That's kind of what happened with Silent Bomber. I knew I really liked Silent Bomber, but it had been a long time since I played it. And it was a pleasant surprise to find out how good it still was. And I'm looking forward to doing that with the Straga as well. I don't know how well the Straga might hold up. If my taste might have changed a little bit for the Straga, but either way, it is definitely weird enough to be on the list. Don't you worry. Have I ever heard of Dr. Hauser? I have. I can't remember where I heard of it, but I've definitely heard of it. If it's the name of a PS1 game, keep in mind, I've seen the names of like almost every single PS1 game. But the problem when you've seen and looked at so many PS1 games is that you start to like, everything starts to meld into your mind. I feel like if I was to look at like a clip of every PS1 game, I should be able to name it, but trying to think them off the top of my head is pretty rough. Digimon World 2003. I had Digimon World 2003. I really liked that game. But I was also a big Digimon fan, so I was probably a bit biased. I remember it being super grindy. Super duper grindy, but cool though. Let's have a little check tree. Sega Saturn, PS1, and N64 is generally poorly optimized in power regions. Absolutely. It's so weird for like years, I just didn't know any better. I remember once, the first time I ever really noticed the whole PAL thing was when somebody was putting a clip of Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive, and like Green Hill Zone, the entire song was slowed down. I just thought it was like that for years. It blew my mind. I was like, what? So yeah, it's a bit of a weird thing. Also, I finished the video game. Thank you so much for joining, buddy. Good to see you. If you haven't checked it, by the way, I finished a video game recently. Put out a 5 hour plus video covering every single Lord of the Rings game, which is, frankly, madman territory. I'm incredibly impressed that you did that. The speed at which you did it and how good that video turned out. It is super cool. If you like video games, which you probably do, I would check out that because it's super good video. Ugh. All this talk of the Strega is getting me hyped for the Strega now. Who made the Strega again? Was it the Dynasty Warriors folks? Koei? War Megaforce? I think that was them. Yeah, I played a demo of the Strega and I thought it was really cool. I just really like arena fighters, like Power Stone, anything like that, but the Strega is like Power Stone if everybody could shoot lasers from their hands. But you know, pretty great. Yeah, it was just mind-blowing to kind of understand that PAL was even a thing. Because I remember like when we played like, I think the time when they would start acknowledging PAL as a thing was about PS2, around that gen, where we'd boot up a game and it's like, do you want to run it in 50 hertz or 60 hertz? And I didn't know what it meant. And I'd click 60 hertz and then my TV would turn black and white and like half the screen would disappear. And I'd be like, that's not good.
Again, be wary of the pathways between warp rooms. Remember, I'm counting on you. Sure,
Cortex. I love this face, by the way. I skipped it really early. I skipped it earlier when Crash was making this face, but his enthusiasm here, purely infectious. Let's see. Hauser's 3DO, unfortunately, I don't think it was ported over. Yes! I knew I heard of it somewhere. What the length on average? What is that question in relation to, Von Boone? Yeah, I can imagine making that Lord of the Rings video would drive you insane. I've made shorter videos that have driven me insane. I'd love to make another very long video like the Disney one, but I have a hard time like leaving the channel for too long without putting a video on it. You get like kind of paranoid about algorithms and all this stuff. Even after making the last video, I think that's the first time I took like a break, because normally when I finish making a video, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stop and like look after myself for like a couple like a week or something, and then within a day or two, I'm usually back playing a game immediately because I can't quit this shit. But after making the Fear Effect video and the last volume of Obscure Forgotten Games, which were both very long videos, I decided to take a week off playing any PS1 games for the first time in a while. Which was good for me. The problem, though, is that the next game I decided to play, I shouldn't have fucking decided to play that game. But you'll see when it comes out. Yeah. Any tips for writing reviews? So, when it comes to writing, one, I'm not like, you know, trained as a journalist. I don't really have any experience doing writing or anything. What I do is when I write about a game, I basically write as if I'm talking to a friend. So what I do is I just write on a script and I just write how I would talk, if that makes sense. And I try to think about things that I would highlight in a game. I try to cover off a few different topics, like, you know, here's a bit about the story, here's a bit about the gameplay. In a lot of ways, whenever I write about something, I'm just going through a list of points. But I try to add a bit of, I get my personality to it, you know? So if you're ever going to write like a review for something, just think about what you would want to talk about the game, and then have it sound like it's coming from you, you know, not like you're doing like an academic journal or like a proper well-written thing. Just be you. Just write like you're going to talk, you know? Just add your personality to it. And then I think you should be fine. It's one of those things that takes practice. Like, I look back at the stuff that I did when I first started, and like, it's pretty cringe in a lot of ways, but you know, I'm happy that I did it because it helped me learn how to get better at writing. So I guess if I was to give you some tips, be you, add your personality to it, and just keep doing it, and naturally you'll just get better. That's all I can say. My biggest tip for YouTube, if there was ever a tip, is that I'm annoyed I didn't start earlier. Because for years I was like, oh, you know, I'd like to try this sometime. I just never did it. And then when I finally decided to do it, I did it when I had the least amount of free time ever. So I could have done this stuff years ago. I could have honed my craft when I was nowhere near as busy, instead of playing like Final Fantasy 14 or League of Legends, you know? So if you're ever thinking about starting it, or you're ever thinking about doing it, if you're in a good position in your life to start it, just do it. Just get up, do it, try your best, don't worry about it, have fun with it. And hopefully things work out for you. It's a lot of luck and a lot of effort, but, you know, if you enjoy it, it won't feel like it. That was a quick level. I feel like I'm just flying through these now. I'm not thinking about it. I'm in a zone. Oh. Is that a €10 super chat from High Retro Game Lord? The man must be high, because that's a huge amount of money. Thank you so much. Hold the phone maker parrot. Cortex's voice is also Lex Luthor and the Kurgan from Highlander. Are you shitting me, really? Wow. That's wild. That is crazy. Man, I'm glad you enjoyed the Fear Effect video. There's times when I was doing the Fear Effect video where I was like, this is the worst video I've ever made. Do you know what? I think that about every video I make. I watch it, I'm like, this is terrible. And then I get to the end and I'm like, I suppose it's okay. I'm my own worst critic, though. I don't think it's like a bad thing to be your own worst critic. I think everybody's a little bit critical of the stuff that they make. Nothing wrong with that, though. Is that Slow Demi? TSLO Demi, thank you so much for checking out the stream, my man. Really appreciate you stopping by. And I'm happy that you decided to get into the PS1. I think it's, to this day, I think it's a really cool library of games. And I know a lot of the stuff that we highlight on the channel is like kind of on the more obscure side and the weirder stuff. But like, I mean, the good shit, the good games, the stuff that I don't talk about. If you just were to collect good PS1 games, you'd have a great time. Such as Crash Bandicoot 2. I feel like, because, you know, obviously, like, I grew up with the console, and I'm sure a lot of you did as well. But, like, I didn't grow up with, like, the NES or anything, and I had such a great time exploring the library for that console. I had such a cool time exploring games that I just never knew about as a kid. So I'd imagine if people were, you know, discovering the PS1 for the first time, like, if their first console was, like, the PS2 or even the 360 era games, it must be so cool going back to the early days of 3D. I can't imagine what it would be like. But if it's anything like I felt with the 8-bit stuff, I couldn't get enough of it. So I'm a little envious. I'm a little jealous of the kids. But I feel that way for everything. Whenever people like bash the N64, I'm like, oh come on, it's not that bad. The N64 looked pretty cool to me when I was a kid. Cortex is Mr. Krabs. I'm losing my mind with all this information. Oh, dear. Right from the checkpoint, too. That's awful. Thank you, Brian. I think the first time I made a video that I really enjoyed myself was the Pandemonium video. It was the first one where I really said to myself, fuck it, I'm just going to make whatever I really want to make. I thought the idea of playing through a game level by level was maybe a bit... I don't know if people would like that. But it's what I would have liked, if that makes sense. So, oh, I remember what I meant to do here. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do that. And then I remember watching it and being like there's parts of me that think I could have done it better, for sure. But it was the first time where I really was like, fuck, I'm going to do like a weird thing that I like. And yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed that. That's probably still my favorite video that I've made. Everybody tends to have a favorite video, but I think the Pandemonium 2 one is my favorite. I think it's the first one where I really fell into my style. And that's really important for when you're doing YouTube, to kind of feel comfortable with a style. For when you set out a video, you know what's going to make it like your thing. Because when everybody starts on YouTube, they're almost always just emulating somebody else's style. And I recommend doing that if you don't know what to do. Think about what you like and base yourself off of that until you find comfortable with what you want to do yourself. It's much easier that way. but also just because I really love Pandemonium 2 and I think it's a really, really cool game. And anytime I watch the video on Pandemonium 2, nobody was like, this is weird. People are like, yeah, no, it's like Pandemonium 1. I'm like, no, talk about how fucking weird it is, please. Talk about the music. Talk about all the weird shit. How bad has the Steam Deck distracted you from other responsibilities? In case people didn't know, I got a Steam Deck about a week or two ago. I love my Steam Deck so much. Because as a portable emulator, it is second to none. It emulates PS2 and GameCube and even some PS3 games like really well. Which is kind of mind-blowing to me. I have like my entire Steam library in the palm of my hand, and I'm just playing Metroid Prime. Because I'm like, holy shit, portable Metroid Prime. Can't get enough of that. So, my Steam Deck hasn't, right? The good news is that it hasn't been distracting me from my responsibilities. But every free moment of the day that I do have, which is about like an hour or two, or when I'm sitting in bed, I'm pretty much playing the Steam Deck. So don't worry, the Steam Deck isn't taking away from my actual video responsibilities. Although playing the current game that I'm playing instead of playing this Steam Deck has been kind of a killer. Kind of heartbreaking, not gonna lie. But it's coming to an end. Bear, 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 bear. Yeah, just really love the bear levels. Oh, oh. Yeah, we got this. We got this. We got this. Oh, it's always gonna lift it up. It's always gonna lift it up. They got me. They fooled me. Oh. But yeah, I wholeheartedly recommend the Steam Deck if you can get one. I still can't get a PS5. I honestly not that interested in getting a PS5. I'm not too arsed about it. But like portable stuff, like I got an analog pocket and I got a Steam Deck almost as soon as I could. It's not even that I go outside and I play my games like outdoors that much. I just like being able to play games on my couch while having a TV on in the background. And I like being able to play games in bed and also on the toilet. That's the trifecta. In bed, on the couch, on the toilet. Alright, let's read some chat before I go into a level because I feel like I'm flying through this. Yeah, see, N64 I can deal with because I was there, you know? Like, Ocarina of Time is still one of my favorite games of all time. I was there, so I'm okay with it. I can still play GoldenEye, even if GoldenEye is a bit rough. Or my personal favorite, Turok Rage Wars, which I played more than GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. Shards of Glass, you have to skip the Fear Effect video. Yeah, no, it's very spoilery. In fact, it's the whole game. So I would play through Fear Effect, see what you think, and then go back and watch the video. And then think about it as well. Favorite singular review episode might be Virus. Virus was another good one. I had a lot of fun with the Virus one. A lot of people reached out to me about the Virus video. A lot of people actually discovered the channel through that because they were looking for a video about the Virus video game. So I'm glad people like that as well. Sogaki is on the Japan wheel. Why did I say Japan? And just to clarify, Joseph Race, I do also love the Sega Saturn. I love all of that gen. I adore it all. I have no real preference. Yeah, I recently, you know, I played through Pandemonium 1 not too long ago. Much harder than 2. Have I played Metroid Dread? I have Metroid Dread. I've not played it yet, though. I am waiting. I got, like, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Metroid Dread at Christmas, and I've been like, I'm going to play this on a rainy day. And in spite of it being rainy and thundery here today, I have not played it yet. I know I'm going to really like it. But for some reason, I'm playing Metroid Prime again instead. How big is the Steam Deck? It is quite chunky, but I will say, right, in spite of how chunky it is, it's very comfortable to hold. something that happens to me a lot with the Switch, right, is when I'm playing it in bed, my wrists go dead. And they get really uncomfortable. For some reason, the Switch deck doesn't do that, in spite of it being bigger and heavier. I think there's just something about the ergonomics of the controller, the way that it's made, that feels pretty good in the hands. It is a comfortable system in spite of its girth. But I will say it is quite heavy. It is by far the biggest portable system I've ever had. Oh, the skull. You know what? We'll show a skull way. We'll show a skull way. Why not? We might as well. We might as well give the people what they want. In case you're wondering, these skull things are, if you get to this point in the level without dying, you can sometimes go on the skull things. I don't want to call them things. Skull transporters. And you get to go to an extra hard part of the level. So we might as well give it a try. Maybe we can beat it. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but we'll give it a try. Just for the entertainment. Oh. Yeah. Hey, we did it. Maybe I am good at Crash Bandicoot after all. Maybe I am. I have an N-Gage downstairs. Speaking of pandemonium on the N-Gage. An N-Gage was another one of those things that I really desperately wanted as a kid. Because I thought, like... Because keep in mind, right, the N-Gage was the first portable console that had, like, 3D on it, which was kind of wild to me. So I thought the N-Gage was the coolest thing I'd ever seen at the time. Unfortunately, they were also very expensive, but a friend of mine actually gifted me an N-Gage QD for my birthday one time, which was really fucking sweet of him. So, David Roach, if you were watching, thank you so much for that N-Gage. I take very good care of it. And yes, I do have pandemonium on the N-Gage. And if I can ever figure out a way to show N-Gage footage, maybe one day I will show that. Although I feel like Stop Skeletons from Fighting kind of has the monopoly on N-Gage stuff right now. He's done some pretty comprehensive videos on that. And a lot of the time when I do videos, it's usually to show stuff that I don't think has been shown very much. Oh, no. No. Alright, let's have a little scroll. See what people have been writing. What's crazy to me is that there's been PS3 and 360 games ported to the Switch. It still doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's really why I love the Switch. Kind of being able to portably play stuff that doesn't seem like it should ever be played portable, you know? And that's why the Steam Deck is really crazy, because you're like playing other games that you can't believe are now portable. Did I... Oh, I fucking don't have the crystal. That feckin' skull. It took me past the crystal, didn't it? We have to go back into the level. We have to go back. It's like the island. We gotta do it again. Yeah, being able to play things like Dead Space, Vanquish, Metroid Prime, being able to play that stuff portable is like really the gimmick of the Steam Deck for me. Because it all works really well. That's currently what I'm playing on the Steam Deck, by the way. Metroid Prime, Vanquish, and I'm playing something on the PS2. God, what is it? Oh yeah, Ratchet and Clank 2. I know I can play Ratchet & Clank 2 portable on the Vita, but I just wanted to play it again anyway because I really like Ratchet & Clank. How about the Analog Pocket? I have the Analog Pocket. I feel like I'm not playing it as much as I should. But that, I think, is just... I don't even know why. I played a lot of it when I first got it. I just don't know if I'm particularly in the mood right now to play Game Boy games. But I do really like my Analog Pocket. I wouldn't say it's as mandatory... though. I think since it's come out, a lot of people have been very much pointing out that you could probably get a really good... You could get a really good modded Game Boy for, like, much less money. And it would probably give you as good, if not better, an experience. Because I do agree with a lot of people about the Pocket that, like, the UI and the functionality in it is, like, nowhere near as good as it should be for the price. It should have save states. It should have better features, better color palettes, etc. It just doesn't have very much stuff at all. And it's a bit of a letdown. But it's still really cool. I really do love it. Because I have a lot of Game Boy games as well. And it looks pretty fucking phenomenal. Loafbringer. Hello from Tyrone. My man. Tyrone in the house. How are things down in Tyrone? Is the weather good? God damn it. Yes, I have a Metroid Prime tattoo. Is it like... What kind of tattoo is it? Is it like a morph ball? Is it Samus? I'm curious to know. Because I've seen some people with Metroid tattoos, and unequivocally, almost every Metroid tattoo I've seen has been pretty baller. I'm not going to lie. So I've no doubt that your Metroid Prime tattoo is really cool. There we go. There we go. How's the life situation? 42? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. This game isn't quite as generous on the lives as the first Crash. But it also helps out I'm not dying as much. Thought I was going to die there as soon as I said that. I don't even want the bonus level. I don't care. Oh god, no. Do you ever just get like weird jumps in games where your momentum just goes to shit? That's what happened to me there. Okay. Now we can leave this awful place. I don't really hate these types of levels. I'm just going to call them the night tempo levels. I don't really hate them. They're probably my second least favorite types of levels in Crash 2. The least favorite being the B levels. Although I think everybody hates the B levels. Check my pre-order recently on Mark. Oh yeah, Adam, you pre-ordered a Steam Deck. I hope people get them soon. I know there's like a backlog on them, but like, you know, I hope more people get them because anybody who's gotten a Steam Deck has been like, this shit rules, and I agree. I need to head out, but this has been fun. I'm looking forward to the next Stanislaw M-Base View. Thanks for stopping by, Maker Power. I really appreciate it. There was an iPod release of Pandemonium, right? I think there was an iPod release of Pandemonium. An iPod? Actually, there was at least an Apple, like an app version of Pandemonium released. This is pretty sick. Any plans for a Fear Effect 2 video? Love the first one. There is, 100%. I'm going to do a Retro Helix video. I wanted to give myself a bit of space since the Fear Effect video took so long to do. But I will get around to doing a Fear Effect video in the not too distant future. Probably at some point during the summer. I am really looking forward to playing it. And it's going to be very similar to the last one. Just a full-on playthrough of the game. So I'm looking forward to getting around to that. Can't say when it will be. But keep an eye out. Any plan? Let me see. Question that's been on my mind. You emulate most of the PS1 game on the series, right? I do. And the reason why... I'll tell people the reason why I emulate it first off is because... actually getting the setup to, like, capture video games and capture it well... is... One, it takes up a lot of space. Two, it's a little bit cumbersome to do in some cases. And three, it's also kind of expensive to buy all that equipment to get it done. And while personally I would prefer to kind of show games off in their truest and purest form, emulating is also like much easier. Much easier, much cheaper, much more accessible for a lot of people. So when I first started doing videos, I was like, man, will people mind that I emulate this stuff? And then after a while I was like, you know what, none of that really matters. Well, I died. Although I always say if I'm ever going to do another console like the PS2 or whichever, I'm going to capture that from hardware. Mostly just because PS2 emulation is kind of janky. Hey Sean, if you were home in Dublin, would you be at MCR tonight? Yes. I actually had tickets for My Chemical Romance, but because of my new work, I got a job, like a new job not too long ago, and it was a bit awkward kind of being like, oh, I don't really want to get this brand new job and then have to ask for time off to go back to Ireland immediately. So we made the executive decision to sell the tickets instead of going back to Dublin for the My Chemical Romance gig. So on one hand, I'm very disappointed that I'm not there. But on the other hand, I can't really be too upset either. But I would 100% be a MCR, emo for life. Haven't lived to you. Favorite Digimon world? First one. I like Digimon World 1 the most because it's the most interesting, I think. I really like Digimon World 2003 because it's a very traditional JRPG, even if it's like a bit grindy and a bit of a mess. And I only recently played Digimon World 2, which I actually kind of liked, although it's a very weird game. But I also kind of like what I was going for. I played Digimon World 2, and I knew for a fact that I would not have the time to invest into that game. It's one of the slowest fucking games I've ever played in my life. But I like it. But if I was to pick a favorite Digimon game, the Cyber Sleuth games on Vita and PS4 and PC, really, really cool. If you like Persona and Digimon and Pokemon style games, the Cyber Sleuth series is really great. Big recommend. All right, we're gonna beat this bear. Oh, we'll get back to the questions in a moment. Just need to get away from Big Mama Bear. Damn it. Damn it. Don't know why I want to play Bullet Witch. I don't know what it is. Everybody I know who's had a 360 had Bullet Witch. Did everybody just have Bullet Witch? Bullet Witch is like the most unlikely game for people to own. But I feel like everybody has owned Bullet Witch at some point or another. Please put in the chat if you have played Bullet Witch. What a strange game. There we go. Alright, checkpoint. Time to read something. Dread is an absolute must play. You will get sucked into it. It was proper thunder and lightning in London today. Yeah, the weather was really bad here. Do you have an analog pocket? I do have an analog pocket. It's pretty sick. Is the Steam Deck bigger than a Game Gear? It is like a Mahoose of Game Gear. It's like if Game Gear ate another Game Gear and doubled in size. Super Game Gear. Switch needs some grips considering one of them after the 3DS grip design. I feel like a lot of stuff has come in. I've got so many messages that I haven't been reading. I promise you I'll get to them all. Ugh. Yeah, I should really get some... Like, I'm one of those people who's like a real purist. I don't like modifying controllers and stuff to make them more comfortable. Even though I probably should. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the Switch is very comfortable. It's just lying down and playing it is probably not great for my wrists. Did I get the crystal? I did get the crystal. We're okay. We're okay. The amount of batteries needed though for a Game Gear. I never had a Game Gear. I seen a kid who had a Game Gear on holidays once, and I didn't know a Game Gear was a thing that you could get. And I seen him playing Sonic on it, and Sonic was my favorite game, and I've never been so jealous in my life.
Crash, my boy.
I do have a Neo Geo Pocket though.
But I'm sure you've noticed that things are getting
Love my Neo Geo Pocket. They're really cool.
crystals will be the hardest to gather. And my
Do you play Overblood 1 and 2? No, I've seen a lot of Overblood 1 and 2, but I've yet to play either of those games. But I'm looking forward to playing both of them. In particular, Overblood 2. Overblood 2 is, seems very strange. That's not to say Overblood 1 also doesn't seem very strange, but rest assured, we will probably play them at some point. Yeah, so, like, for one thing, right? The Steam Deck can emulate PS3. Not everything, by the way. It can emulate some stuff. But PS3 emulation's gotten really good in the past while. They've really made some major strides with that. And it is kind of insane that it can emulate that. Basically, anything that's available on Linux, the Steam Deck can kind of utilize pretty great. By the way, I knew I was gonna die here. By the way, this is probably the best boss music in this game. There we go. I remembered how to fight this guy. I completely forgot what I was meant to do in this boss fight. I was like, yeah, just keep jumping. Alrighty. There we go. Vanquish is sick. I'm happy to see some Vanquish love in the chat. It has been a long time since I played Vanquish. I had it on Steam, and I forgot that I had it on Steam. The thing is, when you boot up the Steam Deck, it shows you all the games that are verified. And like, I've one of those stupidly sized Steam libraries, you know, like roughly 1,000 games. Thanks to all those feckin' Humble Bundles that I purchased over the years. And about 150 of them are Steam Deck verified. So I looked through all of them, and I seen Vanquish, Metal Gear Rising, like, I was just trying to think of games that I could play and beat in about 6 hours or less. And Vanquish was the first one I seen, and I was like, yeah, man, I gotta play Vanquish. Please don't die, please don't die. Oh my god, no! That's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's been a long time since I played Vanquish, and all I can think about now that I'm playing Vanquish is how fucking good is Vanquish. It's such a great game. Peak Platinum. Like, they put out Bayonetta and Vanquish, like, so close to one another. I don't know what they were smoking, but they knew how to make some video games. Yeah, the Sega Nomad was another thing that I just didn't know existed until the internet. They're like, oh yeah, here's this thing that just plays Sega Mega Drive games, and it's officially from Sega. It's like, are you kidding me? That thing's so cool. I was on a podcast with a dude not too long ago where we were talking about good and bad licensed games. And the dude, like, he was just saying when he grew up, the only thing, he never had a Mega Drive, he just had a Sega Nomad. So all of his experience with Sega Mega Drive games or Sega Genesis games was just on the Nomad. Which I think is like a really, a really weird way. He's like, yeah, I just thought the Sega was a portable system. Which is wild to me. Oh god, no, why? So Tiny is my kryptonite. I feel like every Crash game has a boss that's my kryptonite. Like in Warp, I think it's Entropy. In this one, I think it's Tiny. We'll see, though. I might do pretty bad on Engine as well. Mr. Wampa Fruit himself. Hey, we did it. All right, let's have a little look. All right, I've reset. I've somehow reset to the bottom of the list of things. You'd love to kill a Seaman. I'd love to. I don't know why I say I would kill to see a Seaman video. I'd love to kill the Seaman video. I would also love to see a Seaman video. Seaman is one of those games that I've never played. I don't feel like I've ever had like the will to play Seaman. I feel like I've been completely content seeing people play Seaman. It's really cool though. I don't think we ever got Seaman in PAL territories. That's the problem. It's another North American game. Am I just bad at Crash Bandicoot now? What's happened? All right, we're gonna do good now. That was a lie. The podcast was called... Oh, God, why can't I remember the name of the podcast? I should probably remember it. I'll get it up in a second. What was the name of the podcast? I'm actually going to open this now because I feel bad like forgetting the name of the podcast, especially when they had me on. I feel like it was... Oh, God, I'm going to die. Let's not do that. I can pause the game. I can do that. Region Free Gamers. There we go. My memory's like a sieve. Please don't die. Yeah, Region Free Gamers podcast. The episode was on... We were each talking about a good and bad licensed video game. And I love a good, bad, and licensed video game, so... They figured it was a good idea to have me on. I talked about... That's a good licensed game that I talked about. I talked about Xena on the PS1 as my good choice. And I talked about Sabrina the Teenage Witch on the PS1 as my bad choice. Now, I'd like to clarify, Xena is not, like, a great game, but it is much better than it has any right to be. And Sabrina is the game that I really wanted to be good because I'm a big fucking Sabrina the Teenage Witch mark, but is probably the worst platformer on the console. But yeah, Region Free Gamers podcast. Really, really nice group of people. I always get really nervous whenever I'm about to go on a podcast. I've been invited onto 2, and I'm like, shit, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to act? How do I do podcasts? And everybody who does the podcasts that I've been on have been like the sweetest people. Real professionals. So it's always a pleasure. That's why I'm like annoyed that I forgot it. I've actually listened to their podcast since. it's really good. I'm just not a great multitasker. If I play video games, my brain kind of shuts off everything else. Oh no, don't get caught. Yeah. This is another good song. Yeah, they really popped off with the soundtrack in this one, I gotta say. Is there something behind me here? Alright, whatever, we'll go for it, whatever it is. I was afraid it was like a... Fuck me. I was gonna say, I was afraid it was like a hard place where I might die. But no, it was a bunch of extra lives. Alright, whatever, we'll get it. We'll get the extra lives. Oh no, I hope this isn't another thing where I missed the crystal. No, I have the crystal, I'm okay. You know what, whatever. We got 2 extra lives, we're up on the money. But yeah, I think the important thing I want to highlight about this is that Xena Warrior Princess is a much better game than it probably has any right to be. I feel like I'm probably going to make a video on that at some point as well. I need to go back to my roots. I need to go back to licensed video games. That's the roots of this channel. The heart of this channel is good and bad licensed video games. And there's so many that I would like to talk about. And I will talk about. Including Xena and such other exciting games. Like, I really want to talk about X-Files at some point. Maybe The Fifth Element. What else is there? There's a lot. Let's just put it that way. I know Dave Nolan has been campaigning for a video that only covers Bruce Willis video games. Which, surprisingly, is like 4 games. Fifth Element, Apocalypse, and both the Die Hard trilogy games. I'm amazed that you could actually just make a 4-game episode on just Bruce Willis games. Everything's going bad. Yeah, Leonard Nimoy did voice Seaman. Seaman's so wild. Like, I love Dreamcast era Sega. Like, absolute mental. Just mental video game after mental video game. Such a good time. No, get out of there. Yeah. I think this collection of levels right here, this warp room is probably the 5 toughest levels. What is your favorite licensed game? Personally, mine is The Warriors. Oh, that's a great choice. Favorite licensed video game? That's a tough... You know, it's actually a tough one to think about because there's a lot of really good ones. I feel like the easiest answer, like the most simple answer, is probably Simpsons Hit and Run. But I also really love a lot of the Lord of the Rings ones. I really love Return of the King. I really love The Third Age. I also really like a lot of wrestling games. I guess you could say wrestling games are licensed games. But like No Mercy, a couple of the SmackDown games on PS2 and PS1. Really big fans of those. It's something that, you know, a lot of the times, like, you know, if you ask someone like a question, like, what's your favorite game or what's this? It's one of those things that I never really have a quick answer for. I feel like I always have to think about it. But The Warriors is a great answer. Top tier answer, in my opinion. There we go. Twit. I was only thinking about it the other day. It's not really just in general, like, licensed video games, just nowhere near as many anymore. Like, if a movie comes out, you just don't really get, like, a movie tie-in. Back in the day, you'd get, like, a movie tie-in for every game. You just don't get movie tie-ins anymore. I think video games have gotten to the point where they're just a little bit too expensive and difficult to make. That people just don't bother doing it as much. It's a bit of a shame, really. There's kind of a guilty pleasure to license games. Batman Arkham is another good one. Which, by the way, the Batman Arkham games are playable on the Steam Deck. That's another plug for the Steam Deck right there. You should talk about Silent Bomber for the PS1. Well, would you believe? If you watch Obscure and Forgotten Video Games, Volume 10, you may just see a Silent Bomber review. See? I'm making videos about games that people want. Ahead of time. Get away from the bees. I hate the bees. I hate the bees. Oh, did someone just mention Sega Gaga? Yeah. I said in my Dreamcast video that I hope one day Sega Gaga gets the translation. And I like many, like all Sega fans, one day dream of seeing Sega Gaga in English. The most meta fucking thing. Like, just in general, I think it's probably the most meta video game that's ever been made. Please stay away from... Can I spin the bees? I feel like I could spin the bees or something. I feel like I'm missing that. Because I know in like one of the levels down the line you can go underground with the bees, but that's not this level, right? You see, IRL, I have a mild phobia of bees. Well, not bees, wasps. The only thing that I'm really scared of, there's two things that I'm really scared of in life. Wasps and or hornets, I suppose. And volcanoes. And that both comes from watching the movie My Girl. There you go, there's the bit we can go underground. And that comes from watching the movies My Girl and like a marathon of like Dante's Peak and Volcano as a child. So I've just had like a mild phobia of volcanoes and wasps ever since. So if there was ever like a volcano that shoots molten wasps, I'd be fucked. Thankfully though, that's very unlikely. And also living in like this part of the world, I'm very unlikely to be killed by a volcano. Wasps, on the other hand, are a real danger. I just hate the noise of them chasing after me. It's so unsettling. Alright, we're free. Did we get the crystal? Yeah, we got the crystal. I keep getting paranoid that I forgot the crystal now. Yes, you can spin attack the bees. Thank you, Joseph. That makes me feel much better. Irish Dax Harwood. Amazing reference. RJ Badman. As a big Dax Harwood mark, that's a big compliment. Thank you. There was an M&M Crash clone, right? There was an M&M Crash clone. It's not very good. Do you have mentioned which game is in each of your volumes? That's crazy that you knew that offhand also. I do have memorized which ones are there. You'd be surprised how often I forget which games are in volumes. Like, I would think about... Because keep in mind, right, when you're making a video about a game, you play the game, you then look at footage of the game a lot, you write about the game a lot, and then you re-look at the footage again while you're editing it. So you spend a lot of time looking at those games. And you'd be amazed how often I just completely forget what games are in videos. And do you know what the worst part is? My memory is so bad. Like, sometimes I forget about what videos or what games are in videos as I'm making them. I'm like, what games am I playing? And then I look at the script or whichever. I'm like, oh yeah. This is the problem about playing too many video games so close together. You start kind of hallucinating and losing track of stuff. But it does help that the Silent Bomber video wasn't that long ago. So in particular, that's not too bad. If you tried to make me... Oh, Jesus. If you tried to make me remember... like, list off every game that's in every one of the volumes, I'd probably have a pretty hard time doing it. Something that I was thinking about doing was making, like, a list of... like, which I will probably do at some point, is, like, ranking every single game that was in all of the videos. But the problem is that I don't want to spoil what games are in the volumes, because I feel like a big part of why the videos are kind of fun is that you don't know what games are going to show up. And if I made a video covering all of the games, or, like, ranking all the games that I've covered, it might spoil it for newcomers. I don't want to do that, you know? You got to think about these things. You got to think about the enjoyment for everybody. No, my life! It's too fast. Hey, Tracy. Fun licensing game fact. A legal fallout from the Mary Kate and Ashley games basically helped Acclaim publishing in the business. Wow. Mary Kate and Ashley, why would you do this? I don't know why. Acclaim games, I don't know why. I just have a thing against Acclaim as a publisher. Like, what's the best Acclaim game? Has Acclaim ever made a game that people really love? Maybe. I just never have faith in Acclaim games. Although they did put out a Total Recall game for the NES. So maybe they're not all bad. Whoa, whoa. Have you ever been stung? I have been stung by a wasp. Well, I'll tell you, right, other than my girl being a reason why I'm afraid of bees and wasps, which is pretty good. You know, I mean, I think if anybody's seen my girl, they might have a moth phobia. But when we were younger, right, my brother, he was eating a jam sandwich. And a wasp stung him on the mouth while he was eating that sandwich. And, like, his mouth swelled up and he found it really hard to breathe. So I was like, oh, shit. So, yeah, bad things keep happening. Wasps and stuff. And also, like, wasps and hornets are notorious jerks. Like, you know, like, I've since come to, like bees because bees are very important to the ecosystem of the world. And they're kind of cute and friendly, even if they can, like, sting you. But they'll, like, sting you as a last resort, you know? Wasps, on the other hand, are just jerks. I always used to say, like, I always equate wasps to, like, if you're in school, right? I don't know if this is, like, I know this is probably not an Irish thing only, right? But, like, in Ireland, if someone wants to, like, start a fight with you, right? They'll, like, look you square in the eye. They'll, like, stare at you. And they'll be like, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? And, like, you're not even looking at this person, but they'll try to make it seem like you're staring at them so they can have a fight with you. I feel like wasps are like that. Wasps are just, like, trying to start a fight with you. They're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, bro, no one's bothering you, wasp. No one was even looking at you. No one's talking to you. Why are you trying to have a fight with me? Wasps are like the equivalent of that person. So that's why I don't like them. They're antagonistic. But it's okay. I've only ever been stung by a wasp once. And to be honest with you, it wasn't that bad. It's more of the fear of getting stung. You know, it's because as soon as you see a wasp, you're like, oh shit, man, something bad's gonna go down. Oh, I gotta... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, maybe I should... Actually, you know, speaking of Mary Kate and Ashley, maybe I should do a video on some Mary Kate and Ashley games. A lot of them. But I feel like I don't really want to cover, you know, like, bad games for the sake of covering bad games. I'm sure they'd make for a funny video, but I also kind of would like to have a good time while playing the games, if possible. Acclaim are the ones who asked to put Shadow Man on their gravestone, right? Oh my god. Bill McMullen, your obscure series is a legitimate breath of fresh air in the review scene, to be honest. Thank you so much. That's a really kind of you to say. I mean, I'll put it this way. If I didn't make the series, I would watch the series. Because I think the idea is kind of fun. And it's not to boast about it or anything, right? Because keep in mind, I think people could probably take the methods that I have in making videos and making make a much better video than I could. But it's just one of those ideas that I'm like, you know, mystery game reviews are kind of fun. What a concept. So I'm glad people dig them. It's like I always say, like, before I make the video, the whole spinning the wheel and finding out what 4 games I'm going to play is kind of a treat for me too. I'm always excited to see what I got. By the way, I've already done the wheel spin for the next Japan Volume 11. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there's some fucking games that it has selected. I'm pretty excited to play them. I think it's going to make for a good episode. Yet to know how good the games are going to be, though, but I think we're in for a treat. But I'll be honest, a lot of the Japanese PlayStation library is it's almost always going to be a good time. Oh, well, that was a mistake. Nah, whatever. Whoa! Wasps are the lads on the Lewis. Yes, that's also another very specific Irish thing. Best acclaim game is Iggy's Wrecking Balls in the N64. I'm sure there are good acclaim games. I definitely recall there being good acclaim games, and I'm pretty sure Iggy's Wrecking Balls is a good game. I haven't played it, but it looks like the kind of game that would be good. I might do that one day. I might do like an acclaim video and try to absolve myself of my acclaim sins. The Mary Kay and actually Mario Party clone. Sorry, what? The Mary Kay Mario Party clone is both hilarious and the most boring party game I've ever played. I mean, I love Mario Party, so that's, you've kind of got me intrigued there. I'm not gonna lie. As of right now, the most boring Mario Party game I've played is that Winnie the Pooh one. And I also really like Winnie the Pooh, so that was... Jesus, no. I also really like Winnie the Pooh, so it's a shame that that one wasn't very good. Oh, one of my cats came in. Luna, you okay? Do you want to come up? Do you want to... No, you just flopped on the ground? No, she's just going to be cute. That's okay. If she pops up, I'll put the video on her. I'm sure the cat cam would be interesting for a bit. Alright, let's not die. Oh, lots of boxes here. You know what? Don't push the luck. Just be happy with what we got. More than once I've been tempted to royally shamelessly rip off the wheel video, but I haven't because it wouldn't be Sean, so it wouldn't be the same. I genuinely, right, and I'll put it out there. If anybody wants to, like, steal the wheel idea, you have my blessing. I'm not a kind of person, right, where I think, this is my idea. Don't steal it. I think if an idea is good, I would like to see more of it. You know? Like, if other people made the wheel videos, I would probably watch the wheel videos because I just like finding out about games. So, you have my blessing, whoever's out there. If you want to steal the wheel idea, or adapt the wheel idea, or do anything, go right ahead. The more people talking about cool old video games by wheel, the better, in my opinion. So, you just have my blessing. To be fair, wheels aren't like exactly my... I didn't invent the wheel, you know? I didn't invent the wheel. I stole the whole wheel idea from Irish game shows because we love having shows with wheels in them. Not quite Wheel of Fortune, but we have a game show called Winning Streak, which notoriously has a giant wheel in it. That was my main inspiration. Oh my god, why did I do that? Luna. No, she's just walking around. She has no interest in doing anything but distracting me. I'm not Irish, but from what I heard, wasps are probably all from Ballymun. That's such a specific reference. And you know what? Probably true. In general, we just say the north side, but Ballymun is on the north side and is one of the more notorious places on the north side. If anybody is from the north side in this chat, I'm not coming from the north side, FYI. I'm a Southsider, a Dublin Southsider, which is equally scaldy, but also notoriously the posh part. Ugh. The nice parts of Dublin are on the south side, supposedly. There's nice parts to both the north and the south of Dublin. I'm sure someone has asked already, but how are you adjusted to the new location? Thanks for the question, DJB. I'm adjusting pretty well. It's a bit different. Like, I mean, obviously kind of moving country is a bit of a pretty big step, but I've been so busy kind of with the YouTube channel and with work and with kind of just doing up the house, I guess you could say, that I haven't really had too much time to really think or adjust to things, if that makes sense. But I'm used to the area. I've got a car, you know, I know where things are. So I'm pretty happy, all things considered. It's been nice kind of having space, because I've had like no space in my living arrangements for a long time. And oh, that's a bad jump. And it's really nice kind of going back to having that. That's been the big thing for me. I have this little room that I sit in, and I have, it's off center, like it's not on the screen, but I have this little setup with like a CRT TV and a VHS player and a PS2. And I'm so happy that I have the space to have that sort of shit. I have like loads of old anime videos, VHSs. And I'm watching these, like when I work, I have like a little old, these old manga VHSs. I have these going on in the background. You know, I've got like the fucking Mummy on VHS. You know, so truly I'm living my best life. So if you ever wanted to know what is the difference living in the UK, it's me watching VHSs. That's how it's been for me. I'm playing PS2 games and listening to mini discs. Basically, I'm trying to just fill my house with useless old media. Old formats. But it's been fun. I was thinking of doing a wheel but with prog rock albums instead, but I couldn't figure out how to record it. A lot of the recording I do, if you're ever wondering how to record the wheel, at least to capture that, just get OBS. OBS is amazing. Just captures your screen, makes it real easy. Open up the wheel, wheelofnames.com, lets you customize it. And then there you go, just capture your screen. Almost all of my capture is just OBS. Because as I mentioned before, like capturing stuff, you need to buy like a capture card or some sort of software, and you have to connect it up to the console, and then you have to connect it up to your PC, and it can be a lot of wires and a lot of cables and pretty messy. Or you could just use a really good emulator on OBS, and you could literally do it with just the computer and one screen, and it makes life a whole lot easier. Maybe it's not the purest way of doing things, but like just in terms of being able to do things in a handy way, I think it's a good way of doing things. All right, let's get away from these boys. There we go. But yeah, no, wheel with prog rock sounds pretty cool. In fact, the first iteration of the wheel that I ever did was during the streams that I did years ago on Twitch. I would go on the Twitter, and I would ask people to suggest the game, and then I would put all the games in the wheel, and then whatever game got selected, that was the game I'd play on the stream. Pretty simple idea, but that's kind of the same gist of these videos, I suppose. Ah, that's not cool. Thank you so much, Kay. Appreciate you popping by. All the same. By the way, if it is too late, the stream will be archived in the playlist of streams, so people can watch it later and they can catch up on all the shite that I've been talking. Which is pretty much just be me saying how I'm scared of wasps and plugging the Steam Deck. It's great entertainment, I'm sure. And showing off my VHS collection. Oh, Japanimation. I had an old Yu Yu Hakusho video from the 90s when I was a kid. That was one of my favorite things. I had a whopping 2 episodes on the VHS. And it cost about 20 quid, I'd say. 20 quid for 2 episodes of anime. Hard times. That's why it's really nice nowadays, because you can go on the eBay, because nobody wants VHSs. You can buy all these like cool old manga videos for like literal pennies, because nobody wants them. The channel aesthetic kind of reminds me of Tora High Heels. That's something I got a lot when I first started the channel. People are like, oh, it's budget Tora High Heels. And I'm like, hey. I think that's actually a bit of a slight on Tor, to be fair. I love Thor's work, but I think Thor's like really... The dude is like his own very specific style. Like, there's no point trying to emulate Thor's videos because you'll very clearly look like a Tor ripoff. The only thing I think that I do that kind of emulates Tor in a way... Oh, the secret stairs. I'm not going to go up that way because it's very hard, but that is a secret pathway, by the way. The only thing I think I do that kind of emulates Tor's videos is the graphics that I make, but I only make mine the way I do because, one, I think they look cool, and I'm also not a very talented graphic artist. I'm not a very talented graphic artist, so I just do a lot of like simple designs with fonts, which is kind of a bit of Tor's aesthetic. But like that guy does like weird shit, like artsy shit, like really cool things. Plus he makes like all the music for his videos. Like, dude's insane. It's a very... I still think Tor is a very, like, you either love it or hate it kind of thing, but there's nobody like him. He's such a unique personality on YouTube. Ah. Unless people are talking about the music, but this is the music that we use on our videos. I think that's just something you get from growing up in Europe in the 90s. Everything sounded like that back when I was a kid. That's why I love the drum and bass and all the fucking techno, trance, all that shit. That's just how everything sounded back in the 90s in Europe. We love that shit. Jason Davidson, hi there. Wow, it's great to finally put a live face, a mustache to the voices of the fellow Pal Gamer collective. Secure titles worth my time. Many thanks, Seanson. You're very welcome, Jason. Hope you enjoy my mustache. I don't normally have a mustache, but I'm kind of vibing to the whole. Why does that keep happening? Why does that one particular thing keep getting me? Yeah, I keep kind of like trimming the beard down and just leaving the mustache. I don't know why. It's like someone mentioned in the earlier. It's like Dax Harwood, who was a professional wrestler. See, as a fellow bald man, I figure he's kind of got the best bald guy look, which is just bald head and mustache. So I'm quite a fan of it. Don't hit the nitro crate. Anyway, appreciate you stopping by. No, I knew. You know when you know you're gonna die. You know when you know you've done fucked up. That was that. I told you I hated these levels. These are the worst levels. All right, we're gonna get this. We're gonna get this. That's a pretty good death, though. I don't mind that one so much. And we used to have 40 lives at some point. This has gotten pretty bad. Alright. Alright. There we go. And then we wait. I'm looking forward to getting through this level so I can go back to the chat. There we go. There we go. We did it, everybody. Another B level has been stung. Let's see. I remember learning about Inuyasha from MSN chat rooms. I don't think I was ever in MSN chat rooms, but I do love a bit of MSN Messenger. That was my favorite. Get Lane on VHS. I hear it's the best way to watch it. I ain't falling for that, man. I ain't watching Lane on VHS, man. I'll die.
The inventor of the evolved ray. Brio was responsible.
Nah, bro. The wheel's a fun concept, you know. And people want to make it like a core of their thing. That's fine, but I would say like if you can utilize a wheel in any part of your videos, it'll probably enhance it just a little bit. Oh yeah. If you go back and watch a lot of my older videos, in fact, the only videos that I seem to appear in are the ones where I rank and review every game, and that's still going to be a main feature of the channel for whatever reason. They're going to be the ones that I appear in. The problem is that when I first started doing these videos, right, I found that the most difficult thing to do was to sit down in front of a camera and film those bits. I could do the writing, I could do the editing, but when I sat down to like talk, I found it really hard to do it. Like, I'd be exhausted after doing them, so I figured, hey, if I can actually do the videos without having myself on camera, that might be easier. But it's still tradition to have myself on camera during the every game ranked and reviewed stuff. But I kept saying to myself that I was going to buy a proper camera because I was always just using my phone. Because I couldn't afford a good camera. And I was like, oh, I'll buy a good camera one day. Oh, I can't slide here. Oh, yeah. And I'll do that one day. The problem is, like, if you want to start taking YouTube seriously, you gotta, like, invest a lot of shit. You gotta get, like, lights. You gotta get, like, a good camera. You gotta get a good microphone. The only thing I've invested in is a decent microphone. And even then, I should probably put more effort into the audio quality of my videos. It's really difficult. There's another bit of advice. If you care about YouTube, microphone first. Microphone's more important than anything else. Oh, I looked at the chat like a fool. Yeah, no, I really appreciate Tor's aesthetic. I will very much admit that it's a love it or hate it kind of thing, but I think as a unique creator on the platform, one of the best, in my opinion. Very abstract humor, though. If you like to kill lots, Book Bumble on N64 is the game for you. Oh, yeah. I've never played Book Bumble, but it's like one of the most mystical games ever. Just thanks to that amazing fucking jungle song at the beginning. Biggity Buck Bumble. I don't even mind dying because you reminded me of how great the Book Bumble song is. Man, I gotta get some Book Bumble at some point. This used to be my favorite boss when I was a kid. Like, anytime they'd add like a gimmick where you got to shoot things, I always thought it was the best. Alright. I'm gonna pay attention and not die to the missiles now. Okay, never mind. How long were you streaming before switching to YouTube? I didn't stream for very long. I streamed for about like a month or two, and then like the problem is, like, when you want to start streaming, you know, you do that thing, you're like, oh, I gotta... I'm really bad at this boss fight. You know, when like you start streaming, you kind of try to do like a schedule, and I was working the schedule around my job, and I do like, it wasn't a huge amount, like maybe 3 nights a week, 2 hours or so, and it just... There were days where I'd come home from work and I'd be really tired, and I just, for lack of a better term, just wouldn't be in the mood or the humor to do it. And I didn't really like locking myself into this thing where I had to like adhere to a schedule and I had to come on and do stuff. Because I think if you're going to play games and be at your best, you want to always be on your best form. And streamers, I think, feel obligated or obliged to just keep doing shit and keep sticking to stuff. You kind of feel like you're trapped in a way. And especially when you're like not streaming to a large audience and stuff, it's a lot of effort and a lot of work to put in for what is often just nothing. Like a very, very small amount of people. So I just figured after a while that it wasn't really for me. And it was a good long while after I did the streaming thing that I actually started doing YouTube. Like, long time. And as I've said before in a few other occasions, the only reason I even started doing YouTube is just because I was really bored during the pandemic. So, you know, that wasn't really an intention. Although I'm very glad I started doing it. It's a lot of fun. No. I forgot how that missile worked there. Alright. Let's get him. Let's not die. Yay. We did it.
Master Cortex will be very displeased with your resistance. Prepare to suffer his wrath.
You know, when I made my first video, I spent more time than anything just trying to like fiddle with the audio. And I did it in a really weird way as well, where I fiddled with the audio inside the video editor instead of it. And it's a terrible way of doing things. Do you know what? I watched the great video when I was starting out on YouTube. I watched the great video by a guy named Mandalore Gaming, who has a video about starting a YouTube channel. And it's about, I don't know, like 20 minutes long, really to the point. And I look, I can't talk about being to the point. My videos are way too long. But he comes up with these really, really simple, straightforward ways to kind of, I suppose, navigate making a YouTube video for the first time, and highlights the importance of audio and why it's important. And it's just such a useful thing. And that's been kind of what I focused on ever since, you know? Like, at the end of the day, you could have the best looking thing in the world, but if the audio is bad, unwatchable. Where you could look at something like for like fuzzy VHS quality, but if the audio is good, that's all you need. Yeah, Mandalore is really good. I don't really have like, I can't really think of like a list of top tier YouTubers off my head, but I think Mandalore is like one of the best. One of my favorites anyway. If I had to pick like a top 3 favorite YouTubers, people who inspire me the most, or people who I take the most influence from, probably Mandalore, Ross's Game Dungeon, and Civ11. I think those 3 are probably the best 3 video game YouTubers in my opinion. At least from the ones that I watch. At least people who still focus on video games. I also watch a lot of lazy game reviews on a lot of Tech Moan, but they're more like hardware stuff nowadays. Also Brutal Moose, but he also doesn't really do video games that much anymore. See, above all else, I'm still just a really big YouTube fan. I love YouTube. If I'm not playing games, or if I'm not editing videos, I'm probably watching some shit on YouTube. That was bad. Oh, this is the laser. I got too nervous about the laser. I forgot how it worked. I remember it now. We'll be okay. No. Yeah, bad audio is like kind of a, like, I never, like, if I ever see people with bad audio, I never really like, it's still like, I still think it's the hardest thing to get right, because at least with like editing and stuff, you can just look at ways to be good at editing. I guess you can just look at videos that teach you tips, and you can kind of copy that to a fault. But like audio, everybody's voice is different, so you can't just look at a video and be like, here's how you do your audio settings. If you have like a bassy voice or like a high-pitched voice or something, everything's going to be a little bit different. So you really just have to mess about with it until you're happy with it. But even then, you don't know yourself. You're like, this sounds good to me, but will it sound good to everybody else? It's complicated. Audio's hard. I love that scream. Oh. I read the chat again. I need to not read the chat. You need to all stop being so interesting. This is probably my other thing with streaming as well. I'm not like a great multitasker. Oh! Dave, you're an absolute saint. Look at this man. Multiple super chats tonight. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it, buddy. Alright, at least we got that extra life, so we don't have to worry about this falling off thing again. Oh, that's great. Oh, God. Alright, first spacey level done. Or future level, I guess you could say. Now we get to start doing some jetpack levels, which personally I love. Thoughts on the Infinite review? Which Infinite review is this? Because I might have missed it. Was it a Halo Infinite review? Go back to man. Just text for comment in the audio, be some silence in game there. Yeah, I'm the best YouTuber. You just might be, Sludemi. You just might be. Oh, Scott the Walls is the purest of them all. Scott the Walls is the purest of them all. I think for me, like, I feel like Scott the Walls is like an everyman YouTuber. He's almost impossible to dislike. I love Brutal Moose. Brutal Moose is my fiance's favorite YouTuber. I personally, right, I think, like, in terms of editing, Brutal Moose is untouchable. Brutal Moose is like the best fucking editor in the game. In terms of pure comedy, like, the dude doesn't even have to be funny. His editing is so funny. Like, talented. Talent. But then again, this is another thing. I think if you've been doing something for so long, you naturally learn to kind of get you get really good at it, and two, you kind of make it your own. And Brunimus is a great example of that. I've heard some people say the controls in this bit are kind of wonky. I have to disagree. I like jetpack controls. Pretty good, actually, I would say. But then again, I've played a lot of this shit. Yeah, I've always just been a big fan of like Crash's gimmick stages, and like Warped has a ton of gimmick stages. But jetpacks in particular are just very cool. So this one will always be one of my faves. Plus, it's nice to have what I consider like a relatively easy-ish level in the the group of hard levels. All right, I'm gonna wait this one out. Nice. Oh dear, shit. Hope things are okay, High Retro Gaming Lord. What I like about Scott the Walls in particular, because I feel like Scott is, because he's a good bit younger, so he feels like someone who's kind of covering games that I would have played a lot of when I was younger, if that makes sense. Like, he seems kind of like someone who grew up with like GameCube and whatnot, and he's like really into like Wii U and stuff. So it's interesting seeing younger people come into the gaming sphere and talk about games that I'm very familiar with. It's kind of nice in a way. It's nice to see people be successful too. I think Scott's like one of those guys that like I'm really happy to see be successful, because he just seems like a nice guy. I'm always rooting for nice people. Okay, I might have made a mistake. Yep, I definitely made a mistake. Honestly, man, if I see like America in the news, it's like never great. But then again, I mean, like, I don't know if it's just like from a European perspective, it's always like the wild, like just crazy, you know? I'm sure I'll see it soon. Yeah, Scott seems like a great guy. Scott seems like a great guy. Nakey Jakey seems like a great dude as well. You know, I think so much of like my time like watching YouTube, you kind of see like, you know, the angry reviewers and I'm not gonna say like asshole reviewers, but like kind of weirdly negative, not great personalities. And I think there's been more of an upbringing of like more wholesome people into the gaming sphere. You know, I like seeing people who can be funny about games without also being an asshole. If ever possible. That's just a personal thing. Oh. Yay. And we got the crystal. That's not too bad. That wasn't too bad. You're a nice person, at least you seem to be. I like to think I am. I always say, like, if being a nice person isn't really for me to decide. it's for what other people take away from it. You know? But yeah. I won't necessarily say that I try to be nice, but you know, I get a kick out of talking about games, so maybe I come across pleasant because of that. I would hope so, anyway. Yes. That's a good point about Brutomus. He makes almost everything interesting. Like, I would watch a Brutomus video about almost anything. The food videos are really interesting. His recent video about the mall was really cool. Like, that's just the dude walking around a mall in America, and I was like, holy shit, this is really great. That's how you know you're good, right? I always find like the ultimate test of a YouTuber or as like a personality is if people will watch videos because you're doing them rather than the topic itself. You know, like I got into Brutomus because he was talking about games, and now Brutomus rarely talks about games. He does like stuff about cooking, he does old VHS tape things, he does things about like, you know, road trips and all sorts of weird stuff. But because he's so funny and his editing's so good, I'm into the topics, you know. I think that's how you learn to get like a favorite YouTuber. You come for the topic and then you stay for the person. But you gotta earn that shit. Oh. Someone mentioned in the chat earlier that the jetpack music is amazing, and you know what? They're absolutely correct. I've said multiple times, like, this is the best song in Crash. Moral of the story, Crash 2 has a lot of great music. Ooh. Nice. Another successful jetpack level. Is that all of them? There's only like 2, right? Shame. Should be more jetpack levels. Infinite review. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. I've never once watched Markiplier. But I think I kind of like... There's nothing ever against Markiplier, but there's just very like, you know... you see like clips of his stuff and he's very... I guess the term is maybe a bit overbearing for me, would be the word of it, you know? Some people are like too intense. Markiplier seems like a pretty intense dude. I'm a very... I'm like a low energy dude, so, you know. That's why all my favorite YouTubers are kind of like low energy guys. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Different strokes for different folks. Anyway, the final level of Crash. We're almost there. We've had a pretty smooth run so far, I think, other than like the streaming issues at the very beginning. Otherwise, not too bad. Oh, don't get crushed. Don't get crushed. Okay. Oh. I'm never gonna get sick of that scream. Dude, like, he's not just dying, he's dying. Speaking of dying. I remember, like, Pax Corpus, when I remember when I first seen like clips of Pax Corpus, I was so like curious about that game. Cause you like, I don't know if people get the same, but when like you see a game for the first time that you've never once before seen in your life. Like Pax Corpus for me, I was like, holy shit, what is this? I was just compelled to play it, and then it turned out to be significantly more interesting than I could have ever imagined. Not very good, but like interesting. You can see now that like even the I love that they don't kill you immediately with that laser. You just shrink small and can go on your way. Yeah, you can see now that I'm not even bothering to do the bonus levels because they're just difficult. I got enough lives to get me through. Oof. Ooh. Ooh. I'll take it. Whatever. It's okay. No. No. All right. I can feel myself failing the jump as I do it. All right. I'll check out some Kenny. I read the chat again. I made a mistake. This is your fault, Kenny Lauderdale. Wow, I'm gonna lose all my lives at this rate. This is pretty bad. I know, like, I'm streaming here as well as we speak, but I'm also just not really great at watching streams in general. Ironically. A lot of my friends stream, and I always try to make sure to check in and tune in and watch people when it's doing it, but it's like, you know, you're dedicating yourself to a long time of watching. That's why I never try to stream, like, long games. I try to stream games where I can beat them in one sitting. Speaking of which, let's go get to the end of Crash Bandicoot 2.
My plan is nearly complete, and I have you.
Cryo was like a revolution discovery for me. I never knew much about Cryo until playing Dreams first of all, and then looking into Cryo was such a wild, interesting experience. And I say like I have a lot of love for Cryo. I know like their PS1 games aren't great, but I think as a dev studio they're so incredibly unique, for better and for worse. Hey, that's what it's all about. A nice little distraction. So if I remember correctly, this battle here isn't even a fight. Like, you just gotta catch up to Cortex before he gets away, right? Well, since it's a jetpack level, we should probably have a good time doing this. Well, there you go. That was the final boss of Crash Bandicoot 2. Hey, 8-Bit Buddy. 8-Bit Buddy, 8-Bit Boy. I read Evening Buddy. I'm going to call you 8-Bit Buddy UK. That's a good name. Anyway, that was Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back. One of my favorite platformers on the console.
And what about the Cortex? It's still up there.
Although that wasn't the true ending. To find out the true ending, you're just gonna have to play it yourself, or watch somebody who is significantly better at the game playing it than me. But either way, if you've never played Crash Bandicoot 2 before, you really should. And if it's been a long time since you played Crash Bandicoot 2, you really should. It's really fun. Holds up really well. Yeah, that is 100%. Like, this is just an Earthworm Jim level, right? It's completely like that. Yeah, Crash 3 has the best final boss of the original trilogy, in my opinion. I would say, I think Crash 3 honestly has the best bosses in the game of the trilogy. I like the levels of Crash 2 the most, I would say, and I think the bosses are the best in Crash 3. I think that's a pretty safe opinion, though. Especially the engine fight in Crash 3, I love a lot. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. The next time I do a stream, and I will do another stream, I don't make any promises because I usually do a stream and it's been too long since I've uploaded the video. We'll play through Crash Bandicoot number 3. As in, a plant that grows in the ground. Keep the R's rolling, Johnson. R. Like a pirate. Kyle, CTD. Thank you so much, guys. It's really, really kind of you. Absolute sweethearts. Syllable. It's a Crash-inspired indie game. I have not, but I gotta get into that. I need to find out more about that. I'll play almost anything that's like a Crash-style game. Really love it. Yeah, engine in number 3, if I remember correctly, is like a mech fight. Engine mech, which is pretty awesome. Or am I misremembering? Is that the 4th game? No, the 4th game, you're in like a plane. I'm mixing up my Cortexes. Anyway, everybody, I would like to thank you all so much for stopping by for the stream. It will be in the archive, so if you want to watch the full thing, you can check out the playlist. I will have a new video out pretty soon. I'm going to say the end of the week. I won't give you any hints on what it is, but I will once again say, if you haven't watched on Twitter, it is the most arduous experience I've ever had making a video. So I hope it is worth it. I hope it is worth it. Until then, much love. I hope you all have a great evening or day or morning or wherever it is you are in the world. It's been a pleasure talking to you.